This story is told in an old book, thousands of years old. Every word I'm about to tell you is true. Some of it will be hard to believe, but the truth is often stranger than fiction. In the beginning, before the first man was created, before the earth, the sun, the stars, even before light and time were created, there was God. He alone existed without beginning, but he was not lonely. Unlike finite man, God exists simultaneously as three persons in one. Each distinct person is co-equal and co-eternal, one in essence, nature, power, action, and will. He communed with himself in harmonious love. But God wanted to share his life. He wanted friends and neighbors. The Bible tells us God created numerous kinds of angelic beings to offer praise around his throne. But one, called Lucifer, led a third of them in rebellion. God cast them out of heaven, and Lucifer's name was changed to Satan. But this is not their story. This is the story of God working with mankind. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And it came to pass that the earth was formless and void, and the Creator moved upon the face of the waters. Suddenly, God spoke into the darkness,
"Let there be light."
It was not as many modern men suppose. The Creator did not make use of evolution. He created all things by simply speaking them into existence. In 6 24-hour days, God made plants and animals to populate the earth. On the 6th day, with the evil ones watching, God formed a new creature from the dust of the ground. God breathed his own life into the body of clay, and the man became a living soul. He was made in the image of God, higher than the animals. God called the new creature man and gave him the name Adam. God looked at all his creation and said,
"It is very good."
Every day God talked with Adam, and life was wonderful. God brought all the animals before Adam so he could give each one a name. As the animals passed, Adam came to realize that he did not have a mate like they did. And God said,
"I will make a mate to help Adam."
God caused Adam to experience a deep sleep, and then took a rib from his side. With the rib, God fashioned a beautiful woman to be Adam's loving helper. God woke Adam and brought the woman to him. He told them to have children and replenish the earth, and Adam called his beautiful new wife Eve. They were both naked, but, like children, they were not aware of it.
"She is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh."
Satan, the evil one, watched. They were happy in the garden. There was no sin, no hunger. It never got too hot nor too cold. God spoke of the trees, saying,
"You may eat of all the trees in the garden, but do not eat from this one tree in the middle of the garden. For in the day you eat, you will die."
Satan hated God and wanted to destroy what God was doing. But he needed a way to communicate with Eve. So he entered the body of a beautiful creature and spoke through its mouth.
"Has God told you that you cannot eat from every tree in the garden?"
He said we can eat of every tree except this one, but if we touch it, we will die.
Ha! You will not die. You'll be like the gods when you eat. You'll be enlightened as we are, and you will know all about good and evil.
It is beautiful to look upon, and it does look like it would be good for food, and it will make me wise to eat it. But God said not to eat this fruit.
Eve did not know what good and evil were. Eve disobeyed God and ate the fruit. Too late, Eve realized that she had been deceived. It caused her to know good and evil, but the evil took control. Eve took the fruit to her husband and talked him into eating it.
See, I didn't die. Eat and it will make you wise also.
They were enlightened and were ashamed of their nakedness.
He will kill you now. Look what he did to me.
What have we done?
We disobeyed God. He will be coming soon. We must cover our nakedness.
Adam, where are you?
I heard your voice, and I was afraid because I was naked.
Who told you that you were naked? Did you disobey me and eat of the forbidden fruit?
The woman you gave me made me do it.
The serpent deceived me. He told me I wouldn't die and that I would be like you. But I'm not like you. I feel awful.
So God cursed the serpent and said unto him,
Because you have done this, I will make you crawl on your belly and get dust in your mouth. I will make your seed and the woman's child to be enemies. Your seed will bruise the heel of the woman's child, but he will bruise your head.
Here is the promise of a future battle. A time will come when the woman's seed will defeat Satan. This person will redeem mankind back to God and deliver them from the curse of sin and death. God could have destroyed Lucifer and all his angels in just a moment's time, but he allowed them to live as a test for the human race. Will men follow God, or will they follow Satan in his rebellion? God cursed mankind, saying,
Adam, because you have yielded to your wife's persuasion and disobeyed me, I will curse this earth and cause thorns and thistles to grow better than the vegetables, and you will have to work hard to make the ground produce something to eat. As long as you live, you will have sorrow, working by the sweat on your face until you die and return to the ground from which you came.
It was now time for Adam and Eve to die, just as God promised. But instead of killing them, God killed animals in their place and took the skins and made coats for Adam and Eve.
He didn't kill us. We're still alive.
He killed the animals instead of us.
Adam and Eve didn't die that day because innocent animals died in their places. But the death sentence had passed upon them, and eventually they too would die. Death is the penalty for sin. Since Adam and Eve were now sinners, God put them out of the beautiful garden, so they would not eat of the tree of life and live forever in their sinful states. God placed a special kind of angel called a cherubim at the entrance to the garden to keep anyone from getting to the tree of life. The garden was eventually destroyed and the tree moved from the earth. One day it will be brought back to the earth, but I am getting ahead of my story. Adam and Eve had many children. Later, their sons and daughters would marry each other and have children of their own. Their first son, Cain, grew vegetables and fruit. Their second son, Abel, raised animals. Could it be that one of them would be the promised son who would destroy Satan? Cain and Abel knew about God and the events in the garden. But God no longer walked and talked with humanity. Adam and all his descendants were separated from God by Adam's disobedience. Life was hard without God. There came a day when the two sons decided to worship God. Their father had told them of God killing the animals in the garden, so by faith Abel slew an animal and offered it to God.
"O God, I am a sinful man. I kill this lamb and offer it to you in the place of my own death."
Cain made an offering of the best he had, but it was not a blood sacrifice. Cain did not understand that his sin offended God.
God, please accept this gift of the best I have to offer.
Will one of these men be the promised Redeemer?
No, Cain.
God rejected Cain's offering because it was without blood. God was pleased with Abel and his offering. When he saw the shedding of the blood of the innocent lamb, God put away Abel's sin. God said to Cain,
If you do what you should, I will be pleased with you. Also, you will rule over your brother Abel, and he will live in subjection to you.
Who do you think you are? My fruit and vegetables are worth more than that bloody lamb. What makes you so special?
"My brother, there is still time to offer a blood sacrifice."
I've had all of this I'm going to take!
Abel died, and Cain tried to hide his sin of murder. But Cain could not hide his evil deed from God. God sees and knows all.
Cain, where is your brother Abel?
How should I know? Am I supposed to take care of my brother?
Your brother's blood is still on the ground. It speaks to me of your evil deed.
God knows everything. He sees everyone all the time. Nothing can be hidden from him. He saw what Cain did to Abel. God placed a curse on Cain, and he fled into the wilderness, taking his wife with him. His guilt caused him great grief and suffering. Cain could not be the promised deliverer. He himself was in need of deliverance. What about God's promise of a son that would deliver? Adam and Eve had another son and called him Seth. Many more sons and daughters were born unto them. When man was first created, mutant genes that caused deformities through inbreeding had not yet developed. But later, when it became a problem, God commanded that close relatives should not marry.
God has given me another boy to take the place of the one that Cain killed.
Seth had a son, and his son had a son, and many more sons were born. But still none came forth to remove the curse of sin and destroy death. Soon the earth was populated with many cities, villages, and farms. With each new generation, as the people increased, sin increased. The people committed sexual sins and were violent. Every thought was sinful. No one lived righteously. Adam had committed one sin. The people now committed many sins. God said,
I regret I made man on the earth. I will destroy everything that is alive on the earth.
9 generations, 1,400 years, had now passed, and the world was filled with sin. Men made slaves of their fellow men. Will God ever have a family to love him and walk in obedience? But there was one man who practiced justice and always did the right thing. Though God would kill all the others on the earth, he decided to be gracious to this man and not kill him or his family.
Noah, I am going to send a great flood of water upon all of the earth. Everything that has breath will die. In order to save yourself, your family, and the animals, you will build a big boat. Take with you on the boat 1 pair of every animal upon the face of the earth. You will take 7 of all that are permissible to eat. I will tell you how to build the boat and what you will need to bring to prepare for the flood.
Could Noah be the promised child, the one to destroy the works of Satan? Will he obey God, or will he too fail? God told Noah how big the boat must be to hold every air-breathing creature on the earth, along with the food they would eat. It made Noah sad to think of everyone perishing in the coming flood. So at every chance, he warned them to stop sinning.
I am telling you one last time, God is going to destroy the world with a great flood. You must believe me and join me on the boat.
Why would a loving God destroy his children?
Because of sin. You must stop sinning and treat your neighbor with love and justice.
You old fool.
120 years later, when the boat was finished, God caused animals to come to Noah from all over the world.
Look, here come more animals. They come on their own like someone is calling them.
Some are so strange looking. I didn't know such animals existed. Do you think there could be anything to what Noah says about God sending a flood?
Not a chance. Where could you get enough water to flood the entire earth?
There's not much room left.
This is the last of them.
Noah, it is time. Come into the boat with all of your family and the animals. It will soon be too late for all of those who refuse to stop sinning.
God shut the door to the boat, and for 7 days nothing happened.
Look at the fools. Shut up in a big boat with all those animals in the middle of a dry plain, miles from any water.
Yeah, I bet the lions have eaten them by now.
They've been in there a week.
But on the 7th day it began to rain, and water stored deep in the earth came to the surface.
I have never seen anything like this. Do you think the crazy people in the boat could be right about God wanting to kill everybody for their sins?
Don't be ridiculous. God is love. How could one man be right and all our religious leaders be wrong?
Before this time it had never rained. The weather was always nice, and a mist came up from the earth to water the ground. No one had ever seen or heard of rain. So many people thought Noah was crazy for thinking water was going to fall from the sky. But Noah believed what God said.
I should have listened to Noah. What a fool I have been.
God, save my baby!
By the time the people realized Noah had been telling the truth, it was too late. It rained 40 days and nights until the water covered every mountain on the whole earth. Every living soul that breathed air died, except those that were in the boat with Noah. It would be more than a year before they would leave the boat.
I'll be glad when the water goes down and we can leave this boat.
Finally, Noah released a dove, and it came back with a branch in its mouth, which meant that somewhere there was a tree already growing. Later, he again released it, and that time it did not come back, which meant it had found a good place to live. Before long, the boat settled on a mountaintop called Ararat. Everyone came out to a new world, a world without sin. Noah built an altar and offered animal sacrifices to God. Though Noah was a just man, there was still sin in his heart. These blood sacrifices were offered to God in substitution for the lives of Noah and all his family. The animals represented the 8 who should have died in the flood, but were spared by the grace of God. It was something like what God did in the garden when he killed animals to make coverings for Adam and Eve.
I will give you a rainbow in the sky as a reminder that I will never again destroy the earth with water. You should have many children and scatter out to repopulate the whole earth. I will make animals to fear men. You may eat of any creature that is alive and crawling on the earth, just as you eat vegetables and herbs, but you are not to eat the blood of any creature. Do not kill anyone. If someone is found to be guilty of killing another, then he is to be killed by other men. If a man sheds the blood of another man, then other men should shed his blood to pay for his crime, because the life is in the blood.
Noah became a farmer and planted grapes. The new world was lonely with just 4 families, but soon his sons were having children of their own. Noah discovered that by putting fruit in a container and leaving it for a few weeks, it made an alcoholic drink that caused him to feel funny. Noah got to liking the drink so much that at times he couldn't work. He would just fall down unconscious. It made him do things that displeased God. One day, Noah got so drunk that he made himself naked and then passed out. His son, Ham, looked on his father's shame and found pleasure in it. He told his brothers in a mocking tone what he had seen. When Noah awoke, his sons told him what Ham had done.
Your son, Canaan, and all his descendants will be the servants of the descendants of your brother Shem.
Many years later, this prophecy came true. The Canaanites occupied Palestine and ended up in servitude to the Jews. Noah and his family found grace in the eyes of God. God killed everyone except those 8 people. In time, Japheth went west and north to settle and repopulate. Shem went east and settled in Asia. Ham went south and settled in Africa and southern Asia. The descendants of his son, Canaan, settled in what is now called Palestine. And so the world was repopulated. Noah's son, Ham, had a son named Cush. And then Cush had a son named Nimrod. Nimrod grew up to be a mighty hunter and was well known throughout the whole earth. He refused to obey God and started his own false religion in a place called Babylon. The people of Babylon did not want to scatter out and repopulate the earth as God had commanded. So they got together and built a great and high tower as a center of worship. But it was not their creator they worshipped. Satan led them to create their own gods out of wood, stone, and metal. God was angry at their refusal to scatter over the earth, so he caused the people to speak many different languages. The workmen could no longer understand each other, so they could not continue the work. Each language group went its own way. Some people went to distant places in the earth. Some traveled in ships to distant islands. Some to the north where it was cold, and some down into the deserts where it was hot. So God's command to repopulate the earth was fulfilled. As the earth was filled with people, sin again increased. The people bowed down to idols and forgot the living God.